You're watching the award-winning Ghs Tv, a nationally recognized student television station.
Hello and welcome to this special edition of Crosstalk. I'm your host, Kendall Lesure. This week, as part of our annual Our Little Town series, we travel down to Tupelo, Mississippi, about an hour and a half southeast of Memphis. While small, Tupelo was one of the richest areas in Mississippi, catching the eye in terms of history and attractions. On today's show, we're touring around to look at some of Tupelo's historic features. Our first stop is at City Hall to talk with the man that knows it all, Mayor Jason Shelton. Mayor Shelton, thank you for joining us today to talk about Tupelo's history.
Well, thank you so much, Kendall. It's an honor to be here with you. I love every chance I can get to brag about the city of Tupelo. Thank you for being here with us.
Tupelo was officially founded in 1870. It's had a long history. Can you tell us a little about your city?
Sure. Well, the county itself was carved out of the surrounding areas. Our county was formed. The city of Tupelo was incorporated, like you said, in 1870. We were extremely small, extremely poor city. We really struggled all the way through the Great Depression, really into the 1950s and 60s, and that's when you saw Tupelo really transform from a very poor, very small rural town to really a hub for economic development, banking and finance, healthcare, and other activities. So we're sort of a hub for Northeast Mississippi now, but it hasn't always been that way.
There's so much history in this area, from the 2,000-year-old burial earthworks to Civil War sites to Elvis.
That's right. Yeah, Tupelo has a tremendous history. The oldest road in North America, the Natchez Trace, is centered right here in Tupelo. We played a pivotal role in the French-Indian War at the Battle of Acquia. Where the Chickasaw that were headquartered right here in Tupelo defeated the French was a turning point. So that, I like to say anyway, that we might be speaking French had it not been for the victory right here in what is now Tupelo. Of course, we've been part of the Civil War, the Civil Rights Movement, FDR's New Deal. We've got a tremendous history, and that's before you even get to Elvis Presley.
If a tourist were to come to Tupelo, where would they definitely have to go to get the full Tupelo, Mississippi experience?
Well, you have to start at the birthplace of Elvis Presley. You know, he, of course, Graceland and Memphis, right near Germantown, was where Elvis called home when he was a success, you know, the king of rock and roll. But Tupelo, Mississippi is where a young boy and his mom went into a hardware store to get a gun, came out with a guitar, and went on to change the world. So you have to start with the birthplace of Elvis Presley, then go to Tupelo Hardware to see where he bought his first guitar, but then the Civil Rights Trail here in the city of Tupelo to show you know, the role that we had in that struggle. You know, Tupelo was different than most southern cities. We actually got our first All-American City Award for the way we did not fight integration here in the city of Tupelo. We were one of the few cities in the South that did not have separate facilities even prior to integration. So that's a remarkable part of our story. Being part of FDR's New Deal, the first TVA city, the Chickasaw Nation, the unconquered and unconquerable Chickasaw Nation, was that Tupelo, what is now Tupelo, was their capital. So there's a lot to see and learn about the city of Tupelo. We now are the smallest city in the entire United States, have two banks with a value of over $10 billion. We're home to the nation's largest rural healthcare facility. We're a global player in the furniture industry, so there's a lot to see and learn and do here in the city of Tupelo.
Despite its size, Tupelo is considered a commercial, industrial, and cultural hub of North Mississippi. What is it about the area that makes it a good place for business?
I think that it is the leadership that we have had historically here in the city of Tupelo. In the 1930s or so, in the midst of the Great Depression, Tupelo, our leadership, um, adopted a regional approach, kind of the rising tide lifts all boats mentality. So our leaders then had the vision to diversify from just agriculture to embrace manufacturing, embrace banking and finance, embrace what you would call a diversified economy. That led to the success of Tupelo. As I just mentioned, we're a banking hub, healthcare hub, a global player in furniture industry. We're one of the states per capita leaders in manufacturing. The number of people that make their living in manufacturing here in Lee County, Mississippi. But I think it all goes back to the leadership in the 30s and 40s that were willing to think outside of the box and not just do things the way they have always been, to try something new, to welcome outsiders, to welcome diversity, and to understand that we're all in it together, and if we want a better city, it's up to us, that it's our job to make Tupelo a better place, and that's a mindset and a spirit that continues to today.
That's such a beautiful message.
Thank you, Kendall.
For the 10th time since 2005, the Tupelo region was recognized for its economic and business activity by a leading publication. What do you think helped contribute to this achievement?
Well, that kind of to elaborate on what I just mentioned, the regional approach that we've adopted here. We have a great partnership with our county government, the Board of Supervisors, the City of Tupelo, our other municipalities. We have a great partnership with our, it's called the Community Development Foundation, but they're the entity that recruits business and industry right here to Tupelo and Lee County. We have a great partnership with our Regional Planning and Development District, which is called Three Rivers. But it's really that team approach that, we're kind of like the basketball or the football or the soccer team at your school. You can have one great player, but if everyone's not doing their part, the team's not going to be a success. And so that's kind of the mindset that we have. Our CDF, Community Development, has been really forward thinking on the cutting edge of economic development and doing things that sound simple, like simply building a building without a company. And that sounds funny, but when international companies or other manufacturers are looking for a place, they want to open as quickly as possible. And we have those sites ready for them to come in, finish it out like they want, and get to work and hopefully hire a lot of people in our area.
In your opinion, what are the best qualities about Tupelo, Mississippi?
Well, something we're very proud of here is what we call the Tupelo spirit. That's our kind of special blend of civic pride, civic engagement, and that can-do attitude that we understand that help may not be coming from Washington, help may not be coming from Jackson, Mississippi, that if we want a better city, that it's up to us, that we can do it together. And the great thing that I've found, I'm the first Democrat to be mayor in the city of Tupelo in 30 years. We have a kind of Republican majority in our city. But what I've found is just community-wide support in making Tupelo a better place. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they'll help me in the next election, but what is just heartwarming to me is where in Jackson and Washington they cheer for a leader to fail. We don't have that here in Tupelo. Everyone in Tupelo wants Tupelo to be a success, and we work well together to make sure that our city is successful.
Mayor Shelton, this has been such an informative discussion about Tupelo. Thank you for sitting with us and talking about your city.
Well, thank you so much. You are welcome here anytime. We hope you'll come back, and hope you'll get to see everything in Tupelo while you're here in town.
Stay put, because our tour has just begun. When we come back, we're stopping by the home of one of the world's most prolific musicians.
Ghs Tv started in 1982, and it was just a couple of cameras, a couple of on-air personality, and it's really grown into what you see today. It's a multi-million-dollar studio with top-of-the-line technology.
Being able to operate, all of the machinery in the control room, being able to use all of our software and hardware that we have around the studio is a great skill because this is top-of-the-line equipment.
I feel like this class has brightened my horizon. It's something that I never thought I would be doing, especially as a student.
Ghs Tv is probably one of the most hands-on experiences a student will ever get in their lifetime.
Welcome back to Crosstalk. Nothing really has just the vibe that we have here.
Especially after you finished, you get a real rush of, wow, I just did that.
By the time a student graduates from Germantown High School, they will know pretty much every position there is, from producing to directing to on-air work.
You learn time management, you learn organization, you learn how to work with people, how to better communicate with people.
We put a lot on them, and they have to be able to have the responsibility and the knowledge to get everything that we ask them.
I had very little experience, so in the past 3 years, the skills that I've learned have absolutely exponentially grown.
The class has actually helped me figure out that I want to go to college for journalism.
When a student graduates, they are the best possible version of themselves that they can be.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.
For more information about the Kappa program, visit ghskappa.com or call 755-7775. You're watching the award-winning Ghs TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Welcome back to Crosstalk. In the 1950s and 60s, no one was bigger than Elvis Presley. Presley was born in Tupelo and spent most of his early childhood here. To understand the roots of the future king of rock and roll, I sat down with Guyton, the director of Elvis Presley Birthplace. Mr. Guyton, thank you for allowing us to come interview you at Elvis Birthplace.
Thanks for coming.
Describe Elvis Presley Birthplace for our viewers, because it's more than just his childhood home.
You're right. So many people think that when we talk about the Elvis Presley birthplace, we talk about his birthplace home only. But actually, we have a 15-acre park. It includes the house, also includes his childhood church, a chapel that was built in his memory, a nice gift shop, a museum, a lake, and an overlook with some statues that also tell a story.
Elvis was actually born here in this house in 1935. What was his childhood like?
Well, he had a very poor childhood. In those days, very few people had very much, and the Presleys didn't have anything. They had just built this little house in the previous year, and Elvis being born in early January of 1935. They had no electricity. They heated the house with a coal fireplace and a wood stove. They lived on a dirt road. It was just a very poor family living in a poor community.
How long did Elvis live in the house?
Well, the family was asked to move when Elvis was about 3 years old. Vernon had borrowed money from the landowner to build the house, but after 3 years he had not paid the money back, and so the landowner asked them to leave since the house was his house, built with his money.
Seeing as how this museum places an emphasis on Elvis as a child, was it hard to find a lot of information about that period of his life?
It's a difficult question, and there are several different answers. A lady by the name of Janelle McComb was a dear friend of Elvis's, and over their friendship time, Elvis gave her tremendous amounts of memorabilia. And when we opened the museum in 1993, the museum consisted of her collection of memorabilia. But after several years of people coming, they began to ask, when are you going to do something else with your museum? It's the same material. And so we closed it for 6 months and totally revamped it. Half of it now is dedicated to Ms. McComb's memorabilia. But the other half, we try to answer some questions that fans have asked through the years, like, what's it like to live in Mississippi in the summertime? What's it like to go to school in the 1930s and 40s? Did the family have any money? What were things like in Mississippi? And so we've tried to answer those questions in part of our museum, telling the kinds of music that people enjoyed back then, the kind of music that Elvis enjoyed, what affected his early life to cause him to be the greatest entertainer of all time. So it is a difficult thing to do, but we have done what I think is a marvelous job with our staff in putting a museum together that answers a lot of questions like that.
Elvis's childhood church was moved here. Why was it important to include it?
Well, you have to realize that Elvis's favorite music was gospel music. That's the only music he won Grammy Awards for. Elvis's style of music was a combination of many different kinds of music, gospel being one of those. That's the first place he ever sang, was in that little church. The preacher of that church taught him how to play guitar. So I think the church was most important in his early life. Back then, the church was kind of like a television and a movie theater. It's what families did in their spare time or in their weekend time. The rest of the time they just worked. So the church was, to everybody, was too important back in those days.
There are two really striking statues on the property, Elvis at 13 behind us and Becoming. What do they depict?
Well, Elvis at 13 is a life-size bronze likeness of Elvis. He was 5 feet 4 inches tall when he was 13 years old. We know that because we have pictures with him standing in front of a brick wall, and we were able to count the brick and mortar and determine exactly how tall he was. A man from Ireland came here back in the early or the late 1900s and said, you need to have a statue of Elvis. So we commissioned Michael van der Salmen from the Netherlands to build it, and we dedicated it in 2002. It's probably the most photographed statue in the state of Mississippi. The forefinger on his right hand is worn slick by people holding his hand and having their picture made with him. So it has a lot of importance. The other statues, Becoming is fairly new to the property. It consists of two statues, one of a little boy about 11 years old, sitting on a milk crate, playing a guitar, and dreaming. He's dreaming about his future, but he doesn't know what the future holds for him. Directly behind him, there's a statue, a larger-than-life statue of Elvis the Entertainer. But it's behind him and he can't see it. So his dreams are behind him, and the storyboard that goes along with it talks about Elvis the boy becoming Elvis the Entertainer. And it has a lot of meaning built into it as well.
You have a fun event coming up in August, Fan Appreciation Day. Can you tell us about this event?
Fan Day is something that we started, I don't even know how long ago, shortly after his death. We try to recognize the people who come and visit us every day. And that's the reason we call it Fan Appreciation Day. This year is an off year, meaning that it's not a 5th anniversary of his death. And so it will be a fairly small year, as it will be in Graceland as well. We will have food, we'll have programs, we'll have music, we'll have discounted and free tickets, and we'll just open the property up to the fans from all over the world to say, thank you so much for enjoying what we have here, and please come back to see us.
Mr. Guyton, it was great of you to join us to talk about all things Elvis.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you asking, and I hope I've enlightened a lot of people about young Elvis.
Don't go away, because if you're like me, you're probably very hungry. We're taking you to a place that will satisfy all your cravings.
We have 4 major vocal ensembles at Germantown High School. There's a large chorale with about 50 to 60 students, a women's chorus, our chamber choir, which is an elite ensemble of 18 singers, and a contemporary a cappella group, which is about 16 singers.
It's really nice to be in a room full of people who share your passion and who want to learn and make every song as beautiful as it possibly can be.
I really try to instill in my students the importance of connecting with the literature, that they have to go outside of the box and actually understand what they're singing about.
Thank you.
This program has really pushed me. It's shown me a lot of my insecurities and how to grow past those.
Many times we'll gather around the piano to build that sense of camaraderie, to be able to hear each other better, to interact with each other and make music together.
Work together, hold that solid. Go.
Then we genuinely love music. We sing because we want to and not because our Mr. Hayner is telling us.
2 beats, you come in. 1 and 2. Music empowers us to come together as a group. I feel like this generation has become so focused on me, 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 me. And music is us, 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 us.
For more information about the Kappa program, visit ghskappa.com or call 755-7775. You're watching the award-winning Ghs Tv, a nationally recognized student television station.
Welcome back to Crosstalk. I'm Kendall Lesure. Here at Johnnie's Drive-In, they're no stranger to good food and good history. Johnnie's is actually the oldest and one of the most popular restaurants in Tupelo. I wanted to learn the secrets to Johnnie's Drive-In success, so I met up with Don Knight. Mr. Knight, it was so nice of you to appear on today's show.
Thank you for coming.
Johnnie's first opened in 1975. It's been 45.
45.
It's been around for almost 75 years.
Yes, ma'am.
Has it changed much over that time?
Well, not a whole lot. We kind of, the gentleman that I bought it from, Mr. Johnnie, when I bought it, he said if it ain't broke, don't fix it, so I haven't fixed it much. We just keep it like it is. We like it like it is. Yeah.
Modernizing is always a trend, so it's rare to see a cozy family restaurant like this one. May I ask why you decided to keep it this way?
Well, we're just a mom and pop. We're a mom and pop organization. I mean, so I wanted to keep it like that. That way my family could, if they wanted to work in it, they could. But my daughter, she chose to go to school, and she's got a BA in accounting, but she worked for the hospital 15 and a half years, and then she decided to come back and help me and her mom. Her mom is also a bookkeeper, so we decided that we'd just keep it in the family as much as we could.
As Tupelo has grown, I'm sure you've seen plenty of competition. How have you made sure that business remains steady?
Well, we try to give them one-on-one. In other words, if you'll notice when I'm out here in the dining room, I usually know most of all the people. I can tell when there's a visitor, and we have a lot of local people that come back because we've always give good service, and we try to get them a one-on-one. You know, in other words, we know who they are, and I call them by their name, and that's always good. You can go to a chain restaurant, and they don't know who you are, but you come out Johnnie's, we know who they are most of the time, and I can pretty well tell if they've traveled.
As Tupelo has grown, I'm sure that plenty of businesses have moved in. Was there ever a point that you worried about the likelihood of your business?
Nah, never have. We don't even advertise much. We've been out here so long, most of these people that trade with us, their kids have been their kids and grandkids come out. So, well, I haven't, but I know there's going to come a time when we're going to have to shut it down. I figure that. But I'm hoping it won't be for another 100 years.
Johnnie's has a big connection with Elvis Presley. Can you tell us what that is?
Well, this is according to the people that lived in here. When Elvis was here, him and Guy Harris and all those people, we got some pictures on the walls of them right up yonder. Laverne Clayton and all them people, they all went to school out here with Elvis, and they said he came out here when he was a kid. I wasn't here, so I just go by what I was told. But they said he used to come out here when he was a kid, but didn't have much money, so he came back a few times after he got famous.
You have the booth where Elvis used to sit marked. Do many people request to sit there?
They do. Now, some of the customers marked the booth. I didn't mark the booth. Some of the customers did that, brought that to me. So that's the second one. The first one, somebody picked the first one up, but another customer gave me that one there. So like that, the customer named that Elvis booth, I didn't.
One reason that tourists stop here, besides getting their fill on Elvis, is because of the famous dough burgers. What is it, and how did you come up with this fan favorite?
Well, I didn't come up with that. Mr. Chisholm and them came up with that. And when they opened in '45, it was during the war, and the meat and everything was rational, so they just added to it to make it go further. So it worked out pretty good, and like I said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So we've been selling about 74 years, this coming October.
Well, what are some other fan favorites?
Ribeye sandwich, hamburger steak. We got all meat cheeseburger with bacon. Every sandwich on our menu, we hope is good. Me personally, I like Johnnie cheeseburger. You can look at me and tell I.
What are some of your favorite memories here at Johnnie's?
Well, let's see. Favorite is all my friends that I met over the years. We had all kind of people, all kind of visitors from around the world. I'm just amazed at the people that come here. We had, let's see, old ZZ Top came in one time. I don't know if you're familiar with them. Anyway, Big Daddy Don Garlic, you probably don't know him, but he's 16-time world champion. Billy Brewer from over at Ole Miss. And like I said, I've met a lot of people and I got a lot of friends. I hope are friends. So that's some good memories.
Mr. Knight, thank you for sharing the wonderful memories behind Johnnie's.
We thank y'all for coming. I hope that we've answered all your questions, and anything we can do, make y'all at home, make y'all feel at home. That's what we try to do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I've really enjoyed my time here in Tupelo. As you can see, being a small town doesn't mean you won't get heard or noticed. The legacy of Tupelo is something truly great to witness. In your spare time, just come on down to Tupelo, Mississippi, where they'll greet you with open arms just like they did for me. I'm Kendall Lesure. From all of us here at Ghs Tv, thank you for watching Our Little Town on Crosstalk. I hope to see you again.
People have questions about Tupelo. I think I've got a general knowledge of most everything, but I really enjoy the restaurant and bar scene here.
Where to eat on a budget, maybe where to take your family, some family-friendly events that happen here in Tupelo.
Elvis attraction related, entertainment related, or like sporting and outdoor activity related.
I'm Tom Booth.
I'm Carly Johnston.
I'm George Booth III.
My name is Zia Long, and feel free to ask a local.